Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio. I'm Derek Asklar. Craig Talley's on the line there. We'll be hosting the show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of metal detectors and metal detecting, I guess. Craig is what we kind of talking about, all these different items and stuff that what we want to see them turn into, what we think they could be, what's really going to happen. You never know. But if you have any thoughts on it, you can give us a call at 352-504-4170 or jump on to chat right here. We already have Peter Beaufoy on here and Paul Forsay, and I'm sure Bill, he popped right up too. So they're all over chat right there, and heck, they can answer questions too. If some of you newer guys out there have questions and about products and stuff like that, well, they're good people to ask there. They're dedicated relic hunters too. So and from different countries too. Peter's from New Zealand, of course. We got some guys from Australia out here, Gavin, when he jumps on there. So yeah, a lot of wealth of information. And we're all like-minded, so it works out pretty good. But Craig, we started doing this show on Friday, Coffee with Derek and Craig, and just decided, heck, we're going to do it again, Saturday, because there's just so many topics we didn't even touch on that we wanted to talk a little bit about. But Craig, I'm going to kind of hand it over to you a little bit, because I know you did some more research or whatever on it, and what'd you find out? What are you thinking they're going to do?
Well, I wanted to do one thing before that was
okay.
What we were talking about, right before the show. I mean, before the show started, about I was going through this big box of
yeah
stuff that when I was moving, I had all kinds of accumulation of metal detecting junk, from 30-some years of hunting, and all those different machines, and I just kind of threw everything that I thought was that I might want to keep. I didn't know, into this thing, and the stuff I didn't, I threw away. So I was going through the box today, and I found these two things called depth masters, and we used to hook these on the machine. It's a little square box, and it's run by a AA battery, AA battery, and then it's got a jack, with a it's just like the regular headphone jack. And these are probably around 1987, 88, 89, somewhere around there is when these things came out. One's called Depth Master Plus, and the other one's Depth Master Automatic. But the Plus has a jack on top, and then right next to it, it's got a volume control, and you put your regular headphone jack into that. It's got Velcro on it. I used to glue another piece onto the machine, and then attach it to it. And then one of the other machines, I used to just put a bunch of rubber bands around it, hold it on, but it amplifies the signal into your headphones. And I was thinking, people have been thinking about all kinds of different ways to, get more out of their machines and stuff, and so, we were talking the other day about that future of metal detecting, and I was thinking all the stuff that's happened just in the last 5 or 6 years, and I kind of think, Deus started something that's kind of unstoppable now, and that's, a light machine, wireless, digital, multi-frequency. There's a whole bunch of stuff that now, people aren't going to accept machines that don't have those capabilities.
Yeah, the features, yeah.
So I was trying to think, what else could they do? One thing is, what if they could make it even lighter? Make these machines, like, could they get one down to 1 pound maybe?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, it's a good concept. You had me thinking about it, since Friday when you did the show, when you mentioned, because we didn't really talk about that. You mentioned it before the show. And I was even thinking, with all this carbon fiber and these other ways they're making, it's not metal, but being able to form whatever detector shafts, the thickness of them, the size of them. I mean, you're talking. I started thinking about tent stake or tent poles. The fiberglass, but golf clubs. Some of these carbon fiber. Now they are flexible. You have to work on that part of it to make them stiffer. They don't want to bend so easy or flex so easy. But if you're using those, and instead of making 3 shafts, usually a lot of these detectors have them, mid center and lower. Make it a two section. Make them with the clamps like they have. Well, I have them on the Quest, where it's just a cam lock kind of thing, where you just clip it down, but make them in a different shape so that they don't have that wobble to them. Where you hook up and you can actually use it for many detectors just by putting the right mounting plate for the, like the control box on the Equinox, how it slides over the shaft or whatever. Quest does it too. Kind of make it interchangeable. Blissful can bolt on the back. It'd be thinner, but the handle and stuff like that would be, you would eliminate some weight anyways. I mean, I don't know. It'd be not maybe significant in some cases. The other thing, Craig, I was thinking about too right before the show is I don't know with coils. Okay, there's a formula, I'm sure. How many twists, how many strands of copper. Are they going to try to work with that to maybe reduce the amount of weight by what they're using as far as for coil lines and stuff like that? Inside a coil, braided wire, in other words, whether they need that much to do what it's doing, or can they lower that down even more when they make the braids, and then thus making the coil, thinner but harder, making it out of the epoxy resin. I don't know weight-wise, but I know it's very durable. And almost, essentially, you're just slimlining these detectors even more. I think you could probably knock at least a half a pound to a pound off that way. And still make it look, still make it functional, still make it strong enough because of the materials that we have, available to us.
Well, you look at the... the Deus, all the weight is in the coil.
Right.
And you're talking about, technology from 7 or 8 years ago, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember when they exactly came out, but, they haven't really changed the technology a whole lot since then. And
right.
It's like I said, it's only going to get better with the meters and all this other stuff, because the chips are getting so much faster. It's like they're doubling every couple of years in speed.
Right.
And, they can do so many, this neural network chip, it's like it's mimicking the human brain.
Yeah.
They got those in, iPhones and stuff. And, they can buy these chips. These companies that are making metal detectors, they can buy these same kind of chips, Snapdragon, all those different types, and incorporate those into, a meter,
right.
In a box and stuff, and it's going to be, the box even is going to be lighter, because, the technology's, gotten better as far as
batteries,
miniaturization and everything. Yeah.
And batteries are so much lighter. Even the arm cuffs on these detectors, we don't need. Okay, like, I don't care which one I buy, Beach Hunter ID or Bliss Tool or whatever. The arm cuffs are, there's weight to be taken off of those. It doesn't have to be that elaborate or that bulky. You can make them almost out of the carbon fiber, make it a tube, have a cuff that slides over it like a neoprene, something comfortable, because you don't really need all that there. I mean, you're trimming stuff is what you're doing, trimming weight off of everything. I think it's very much possible to get a machine that weighs pound and a half. I really do. I mean, they're what, 2.5 pounds right now? Is it what the Equinox is and the Deus?
Well,
something like that.
The stock Equinox with the 11-inch coil is I think 2.91 pounds.
Yeah, they should be able to get pound and 3/4 to 2 pounds anyway.
I took 5 ounces off, 4 ounces off by putting that Telenox carbon fiber thing on there, but that got it down to about 2.5, 2.5 pounds, and I mean,
right.
You can feel the difference even with that amount.
The biggest thing is what the design. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
When you're swinging it, the thing is so much stiffer. The carbon fiber is one of the stiffest, you know, things in light. You know, as far as lightness and stiffness, there's nothing that can beat it. There's three different types of carbon. There's the powdered, and then there's they have like flakes of it,
Mm-hmm.
like in a matrix of epoxy, and then the other one is they actually can weave, make it like cloth, and that's the strongest.
Right.
And they developed this, you know, through space industry and everything, because it's, you know, it takes a lot of weight off. You know, when you're trying to put a satellite into orbit, you want to, you know, take as much weight off as you can. But
right. Well, I was also thinking, you gotta say this in a way that they'll, engineers would understand. It's got to be functional. That's the thing. You don't want wobble. You don't want flex, that much flex, but you also don't want it so stiff that if you accidentally put your weight on it a little bit, it snaps. You don't want brittleness. It's going to be a tightrope trying to do it, but I think it very well could be done and still make it durable. A lot of it's going to be in the fasteners they use, the way they're molded on, that kind of thing. You can make something look really, really nice and lightweight, but it's got to be reasonably durable anyways, and easily interchangeable. I mean, the more fittings and more knuckle, cam locks you have, the more even nylon bolts and stuff like that. The more you have, the more weight you're adding. You're talking, less than ounces here and there, but overall, you can cut down the weight. I think a 2-pound machine is totally in line for very near future. They already the Deus is 2.1 pounds with a 9-inch coil. Oh, okay. So I thought it was
with
a little
the
bit more.
Off. With the box off, it's 1.9 ounces. I mean, 1 pound 9 ounce. 1.9 pounds.
Right.
So it takes it takes like 0.2 of a pound off the machine.
Right.
Which is it's not a lot of weight, but they could get it down even further than that. I think on that little box,
Right. Well, I wonder, with the coil sizes, with what they have in the coils, how they're made, and the materials they use, they definitely should be able to lighten up these coils a little bit. Like, with the Bliss tool, I just go because I've done I've weighed everything. The 11-inch coil weighs 1.2 pounds, and then the control box weighs 1.2 pounds. I think it just ended up that way, but it's very well balanced. Where I had like the coil for the AT Pro, and I'm trying to remember how much it weighed, but that machine was coil heavy. But even where they mount the coils, Craig, the way they mount them, this works on bigger coils. I've done it on the beach, and I learned this, or not learned it. Didn't even think twice about it. We saw, me and Mike Miller and a few of the guys were hunting the beach down there in Clearwater, and we were joking. We were done for the day, and there was this little girl running down to the shoreline with a metal detector in her hand. She's probably maybe, let's say 7, 8 years old. And the first thing we joking with the family and her, you're going to go find treasure. We left plenty of it out there, just trying to, and she's all excited. But we noticed, all of us did, that she had her coil on backwards. The long part of the coil was facing, back towards her. And, had her coil backwards. And we all kind of looked at each other. And so I think I'm going to try that. It just seems like it would, not that it's lighter, it's same weight, but where it mounts to, and is spinning it around, the ergonomics, I don't know what it was, Craig. It was different. It felt differently, because you think about it, that coil's sticking out. I was using a 15-inch coil, but the way that a couple of the guys had their machines, the coil was set back a little bit, or the lower detecting shaft was screwed in farther back on the coil instead of being centered. By spinning it, the longer part of the coil was facing back towards them. And it didn't extend that length out there, which can wear on your shoulder a lot. And it did work. I mean, I did it with the Blistel just to see. I mean, I don't know if I'd hunt like that or not, because they expose your coil cable a lot more. But the way we pinpoint with our machines with the Blistel is on the very tip of the coil, front tip, or the back tip of the coil. So that didn't make much of a difference. But some of the other machines, like I think the Beach Hunter ID, was more of a concentric. I call it right in the center of the coil, right where the detecting shaft or the lower detection shaft connects in the center. But yeah, there was a noticeable difference there. But I'm really kind of curious. I know that there's a formula they use for coil. I'm just going to call them coil wires, but it's the braided wire inside your coil. How long it is and how they do it. I think it's how many strands of copper there is. The smaller the strands or thinner the strands, the better. It goes right along with like CB radios and kickers and stuff like that. Having a solid piece of copper wouldn't be as good as having a braided 1,000 strand copper wire, braided down to hook to your battery terminals or whatever to run that. I think it'd be the same kind of thing.
I don't know if it's that much different, but it's because it's braided. You can you don't have to bend it like if it was a solid piece.
True.
So you can just kind of loop it around. I think that's why they do it. But I've often wondered about if they could rig a coil so like you have like a maybe 11 or 12 inch coil, and you get into a real trashy area, and you can switch the coil down to like maybe 9.5 inches and 6 inches and 4 inches.
I don't know. That should be.
So the coil, so you would only be you can turn one coil into like 4 or 5 coils.
Yeah.
Size,
I don't know if that would work with the. I mean, it would work if they could figure out a way to do it. But I don't know about the way the strands are, how that would work. Kind of shrinking it together, it'd have to collapse in on itself. I'm not sure, Craig, but it's a good idea. That'd save you from having to go out and buy 10 coils. You'd have all of them right there.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have to take the time to change them.
They'll probably say, they can't do it because they want to sell more coils.
Well, I'm just saying, electronically wise, I don't know if it would work like that.
I was just thinking of ideas, when we're, about the future of metal detectors, what you want in them, another thing is, you want more computing power. It's like the Equinox, is going another step as far as analyzing for coin size, targets in the ground and a whole bunch of different parameters.
Right.
So it gives you more, it gives you more information. That if they can give you more and more information on whether that target's good, I can see that coming. It's getting better all the time. But
I don't know why they couldn't take those, Craig. And you were talking about the different sizes. Have the coil itself could expand out if it was an oval shaped coil. Have it, I don't know, 7-inch coil, but you could pull it apart. But inside where the coil lines run around the inside of your coil, almost be, they're not connectors, but it would slide. It'd be copper on copper, but it'd be flattened a little bit and be able to slide across the coil wire inside the coil to expand it out farther to make it a 7-inch coil be a 12 or 13-inch coil. It's just going to be a elongated oval. That very well may be possible. I just don't know of the. I know it deals with using an oscilloscope and all that, tuning the coil, how that would affect the performance of it because of the connection, because of the contact points. I don't know if that is possible. I'm not an electrical engineer or nothing like that, but that would be pretty cool in a way. You wouldn't have to care. It'd be split second, pretty much 10 seconds to make your coil bigger or smaller.
Yeah, because I've been like, searching the woods, and I come on to I'm looking for, Civil War camp, and then I come up on a house site, and it's just so full of iron, and you got 11-inch coil,
Yeah. Kind of beating it on everything. Yeah.
And, you don't usually bring another coil with you, when you go out hunting, but, it'd be kind of nice if you had a machine that could, switch down to, where you could, go down to smaller and smaller coils to, pick through the trash a little better.
Yeah.
But it's just an idea I had that, you know, somebody might be able to come up with that if they wanted to, but
Yeah,
it's just
a lot of times,
it's
Craig, I'll
like
just do stuff that people, I think of a way of doing something that I can afford to do because I don't, we're not rich guys or anything like that. But, I see all these sand scoops out there, and, that's why I made my, it's a regular garden shovel into a sand scoop just with, heating it up or cut it right there at the blade and re-weld it. And I had that shovel. I thought it was going to last, a couple weeks or whatever. And God, Craig, I had that for 3 years before the weld, and it didn't even break where the weld was. It was broke farther up, and that's just pretty much from all the salt. But I never go in the water, like knee deep in the water, and I'm not usually doing that kind of hunting. I'm hunting right there at the water's edge, which means I had to get really deep, really fast because of the detector I was using, or I'd lose the item down. The stand would just, collapse in. So, I went ahead and made it, and it worked out good. I could really throw some dang dirt and get deep, like, 12, 14 inches deep before the hole collapsed. So I can get those really deep targets. Where a traditional sand scoop, you have to, sometimes that doggone sand gets matted up in there, and you just can't get the sand out fast enough. But you need an actual sand scoop if you're going to hunt in the water. It makes it a lot easier to retrieve targets there, but the water's actually filtering out the sand, so, it's a little bit easier. So it's kind of specific just for that kind of hunting, or even in the dry sand, it worked really good. But, even headphones, Craig, they've come a long way with headphones. I mean, from what they were, let's say, 15 years ago to what they are now. Even the wired headphones, Sunray Golds and the Killer Bees, and the Gray Ghost, and, I don't know how long it's been since they've upgraded those particular headphones, or if there's a way to upgrade them some more. I haven't looked at those lately. I guess I need to, Craig, but, I mean, of course, wireless headphones are crazy good.
Finally, they got Bluetooth up to the speed they need,
right?
So it's instantaneous instead of the lag. It was always a lag. It didn't matter with, like, if you had music on or something like that, but it just didn't work for metal detection.
No, because you're actually, you wouldn't get the beep. You're already past it. Yeah, I think the Whites was one of the people that came out with the headphones, the wireless headphones for the Spectre V3. It was around 2008, 2009, I think, is when they came out with those headphones, and they were really good for the time.
It's like a lot of them, they started out with those modules. You had to have a module. And now, it's like nobody wants a damn module. They want, you want it internal in the machine, just like it is on the Equinox. And
those Whites ones were like $275 or something like that at the time, and they were good. I didn't realize that they did have a lag. It wasn't much, but it was it was noticeable. The lag would and then somebody went to, I think it was Detectnics, went to the FM. Am I right, Craig, about the the wireless headphones? Yeah. They went to the FM, and that was a lot better. And that's what we were using in our Blissful wireless headphones, but they didn't make the boxes durable enough, so I stopped carrying them. Matter of fact, if somebody wants, hey, $100 a pair, you can buy them. I got them. But they actually had a transmitter box and something else.
There's a couple other protocols. I remember there's one called Clear, I think. But, now it's like Apple invented one. I think you're up to like 4.3 or 4.2 on the, on the Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
But they're Apple's going to come out with one. I think, I don't know if this one does it or not, but they're going to actually be so fast you can transmit data through it to computers.
Right.
So
I would like to see. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What if I'd like to have that on the metal detector.
Yeah.
Use that technology too.
I would like to see a adjustable handle on a straight shaft detector. That you can adjust that handle. It sounds dumb, but to the left or to the right, forward or backwards, just on the right where you grab a hold of, so you can change your grip style. Because we talked about this too on Friday about the repetitiveness. Sometimes I can turn my hand a certain way on the grip of my detector and take the pressure off of certain points on my wrist or my shoulder. You're kind of changing it a little bit, but make an adjustable handle of some kind. It sounds like a minor thing, but you're out there swinging for 5, 6, 7 hours, every day or every other day, you start getting almost like a carpal tunnel thing going on over the years. Craig and I have both noticed it, as we get older. He talked about tennis players having it too, but if you could change the grip style, that would be, to me, it would be beneficial.
I used to have people come in to my tennis shop, and they didn't even play tennis. They were looking for tennis elbow braces because they got it from like painting, and women would be ironing, and they get it, and they were like, "Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever had." I said, "Yeah, tell me about it. I've had it myself, where I, I had to get, cortisone shots and all kinds of stuff to get rid of it."
I did it when I drove truck. I was 18 and a half years out there. Steering wheel. I mean, I got such bad. Right where my thumb joint, right there at my hand. That, Craig, that'll get so bad it almost brings tears to your eyes. And I have certain days, and a lot of it's from driving. Steering wheel. Holding the steering wheel and everything. I used to put the old spinner on the steering wheel. It wasn't to use because of course we have power steering and everything, but it was so that I could get a different grip on the steering wheel, for long drives across Texas, which should be 2 states at least, 836 miles of it. But, you get the grip style on the Detector same way. You go out there and every day you're doing the same thing. You eventually, your wrist, your fingers, these weird muscles you never even knew you had in your arm start killing you. And there's only so much ibuprofen or Advil or whatever, Jack Daniels, no, I'm joking, that you could take. Excuse me, but I think that's another. I made something like that I should take a picture of that thing. I remember, Craig, I was putting those. It was actually an extender for a 12-speed racing bike or whatever, or mountain bike handles. These are your additional handles you put on your handlebars, I guess, for a different way to grip the bike or whatever. I was actually found one of those that was the right diameter, and I have an S shaft on the Bliss tool. I said, well, let me put this on there. And, and I actually use that once in a while when my wrist starts bothering me, and it's just the change of angle. It really does help. I mean, but it's extra weight on the Detector, of course, but it almost makes, it's just a strange way of doing it, but it accomplished what I needed it to. And, every once in a while I use it, but it's made out of like a really light aluminum kind of pipe, so there's not a lot of weight added to it.
It's kind of neat that they got different accessories, now for these detectors.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was talking, chatting with the guy that invented the Telenox. He's a Canadian guy, but he's lives in Czechoslovakia, I believe.
Right.
But he said he's got several more products, coming out. He's still perfecting, and for the Equinox. So I was like, I tried to get him to tell me what they were, but he wouldn't. But he did have a new one called it's an underwater module with earbuds, and so with the earbuds, a lot of them are some of them are waterproof, so you don't have to worry about getting water in them.
Yeah.
So kind of I don't even know how much it is. It's real cheap, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I got Michael Boyles and Bill Marsh there, both saying that the windings are pretty specific. Which, you're right. That's what I was thinking too. The epoxy is where the weight is. Yeah, but also have the durability factor in that, where a lot of the companies are using a polymer mix. It's lighter weight, but it also cracks easier, scratches easier. Thus, that's why they have a coil cover, which you're adding weight anyways. The Bliss Tool coils, I'm telling you what, I've had the same one on since 2012. Used the heck out of that machine, and there's not even a scratch in the bottom of it that I can run my finger over and really catch my fingernail in. That impressed me a lot, because I have other coils that I've worn the bottoms right out of them. That's why you need a coil cover for them. So you kind of give and take on that.
I remember people used to go, "Where's the coil cover?" You don't need one. They go,
nope.
"What?" And now you don't. Trust me, you don't need one.
All the sand down here, and all the rocks and everything else I run it over, aluminum can slaw, and Mike Boyle says, you lose the depth the looser the wire is. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of too. I mean, it's very specific on that. Even when you're, tuning a coil to a machine, the part where the coil cable plugs into the back of on a ballistoid, when it plugs into the back, if you open the machine up, the length of the wires that actually connect that whole adapter to the board itself, it's like 3 millimeters of wire, and they're micro soldered on, or pretty much micro soldered on there. And that's the first thing it told me in Bulgaria. This has to be right. This has to be exact down to the, whatever smaller than a millimeter, but it has to be perfectly soldered, or you're not going to get the performance you want out of the machine. It's not going to be tuned right. And I'm like, okay, that's not for me. I'm not going to be messing with any of that stuff. Because it's out of my wheelhouse. So, I've never messed with that, but yeah, I just pray that I never have one come in like that, because it's a very specific thing. And you'll know right when you hook it up to the oscilloscope, it's like, oh, crap, I got to unsolder that. And I got gorilla fingers too. I'm like you. I mean, we can get in there, but, the finite, soldering is very difficult for me. I mean, it's just, I'm getting older.
What you need is a lot of practice, and then you can do it. But
well, you got to be like a surgeon, though. I mean, if some of those doctors out there that metal detect me, you got to have a steady hand. You got to, it's just experience, is what it is. Yeah, I guess if I did enough of them, but some of these small soldered circuits and wires that have been across the board, and I used to have to make jumpers, and they didn't have a easy way to do it on the original boards. Now I have jumper, what they call them. The way they have it soldered together, I could put just a jumper plugs on them. I used to have to take a wire and solder it to the board and bring it over, because there wasn't safeties like they are now in our machine. Well, not our machines, but in the bliss tool. It was really specific, hard for me to do, because I couldn't stay steady enough. So that little shake, that was all it took, and you're missing the solder. So shoot. But even in equipment, even pinpointers, and pinpointers are awesome right now. I don't think they really need to go anymore as far as depth or anything, or distance from them. I mean, I've always said, I don't need another metal detector. I just need something that's going to go off probably, 4 to 5 inches on a dime, and start beeping at that point, and so I know when I'm getting close to the target in the side of the hole. I don't know if we really need anything more powerful. Craig, I'm pretty much set with that.
It's you don't use a pinpointer to for depth. You use it just to isolate the target, basically. And
I guess I could make them smaller. I guess, but
I've had people say that you should dig the target out, not try to find it with the metal detector. And that once you get it out, then use the pinpointer. I do the opposite.
I do too.
And then I go, after I get the, what I think is a good target, I go all around the hole and see if I can hear anything else, and I'll pick every single nail out, just to make sure.
Well, it's like my shovel. I can get an 8-inch plug, pretty much right off the bat, and I'll pop it. But I can usually tell initially about how deep an item is for the most part. I'll take a good sized scoop out of there. And if it's not in that plug, I grab the pinpointer right off the bat and say, okay, where is it? Because the last thing you want to do is scratch the crap out of something and it's always a doggone great find too. You'll find a silver dollar in the bottom and you'll run that shovel right over it on that second scoop. So I think, using it in the hole smarter.
One thing about recovery, especially when you get deep, is patience.
Yeah.
Don't, sit there stabbing the thing, trying to get it out real quick. Take your time. It's especially if you're on a good site, where you're getting, stuff from the 1800s, 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different when you scratch a Mercury dime, but when you scratch a Liberty dime,
that make you cry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it happens too. I mean, it still happens.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it in knock on wood. I haven't done that in. I can't even think of the last time I scratched an item with a shovel. It's been quite a while. I mean, a couple of years anyway. Has been pretty lucky. I mean, it happens to all of us at some time. But once it happens to you once, and man, I tell you what, you're real careful on that second scoop. And I usually back off an inch or two and almost make a new plug on the second scoop to see if, because, if I don't use my pinpointer, it may be in the sidewall, and you're going to run that shovel down. So I try to pop from the other direction. It sounds, it's more technical, but it takes me a second or two longer, but I don't see a problem with that. Usually I get the item too, out of the hole anyway. As far as recovery tools, Craig, they're doing really good with shovels and stuff. I mean, Predator tools and the Gravedigger tools and stuff. I mean, they're pretty heavy duty. I mean, especially the Gravedigger tools. They're stout, but they're not going to break on you. I don't know if there's a way for them to narrow down stuff or not. I mean, they're already using aircraft aluminum on some of these, and I don't know.
Not the aluminum, I don't think.
Well, now, I mean, I'm sorry, the kind of steel it is for.
Steel.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I wonder if you can use titanium. Does that work good, or?
I don't know. I think it'd probably be really expensive, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. I don't know if titanium, the tensile strength on it, as far as bending it, if it's more brittle. Stainless is I've always liked stainless steel shovels. I made one, years ago. I still got it. I still need to dig that thing out too. And it always worked pretty good with me. For me, anyways, it was lighter than steel. But, I can get them. Whoa, something's beeping. Craig, is that your batteries?
That was my watch.
Oh, okay. I thought it was your batteries on your... I don't know why I thought you had batteries. I keep on thinking you have those Bluetooth headphones and you don't. At any rate, that was Tim.
Yeah.
But, with shovels, I mean, I have some, I think we all have kind of thought about designs for shovels and stuff like that. I made Craig an entrenchment shovel from hell. And, it would go through a 2-inch root, Craig. But the problem is it was 4 pounds, and trying to swing a 4-pound hammer or a entrenchment tool, that'll make you Hercules in a minute. So building up your arm, but I didn't know if they can make those designs like the Korean War entrenchment shovels like you like, with a spike on the back of it, but still make them lightweight enough. You don't want them too light. I know that. I had a Glock.
It's gotten where you can't even buy them anymore. It started about 10 years or more ago, where I actually had a relic hunter guy that I knew, and he had gone somewhere and bought. I think he drove by car down to Alabama or something, and he got. I think it was 100 of these particular shovels, and
right.
He came to me and he said he was going to do it. And I bought, I think it was 15 of them, and I sold about half of them, I guess, over the years. And then I actually whittled several down to, I'd be out in the woods and these guys would look over and go, "Oh my God, that shovel's like a spoon now,
Yeah, all worn down on the tip and concave.
Yeah, and it was like a third of the size that it used to be, and I didn't even notice it over the years. It just, whacking away.
Yep.
You don't realize how much, you just, it's amazing how the metal just doesn't hold up, over the years to the whacking. You're hitting rocks, and
well,
I guess the ground is like sandpaper, probably, to the shovel.
Oh, it is. My dad had a shovel, a regular, like a long-handled shovel you'd use in a garden or whatever, moving concrete around, stirring up concrete. And I remember when I was a kid, and I said, "Dad, why doesn't that shovel have a point anymore?" And it was actually looked like somebody took I'm just going to say a silver dollar and then cut, put it on the shovel and cut out half a moon out of the shovel tip. That's what his shovel looked like. It was just that's how much dirt he moved and stuff just wore down the tip right off of the thing. So yeah, it does wear down a lot. I bought one of those Glock entrenchment tools back in 2015, and it was a good concept. It only weighed 20 ounces. But the one thing I found out is hit the ground with that, it doesn't have the weight behind it, no matter how hard you swing, to drive that thing into the ground like a typical entrenchment tool. So I lost performance by being so light, and I finally bent that thing. First thing I had to do was take about a half an inch off the tip. You try to smack a root with a pointed shovel, it rolls to one side or the other. So I cut about a half an inch off the tip, and I sharpened that and serrated it so when I hit a root about a 1 inch thick, it would go right through it. Stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever done that or not, Craig. Had it glance off to one side or the other. I don't know. It happens to me sometimes. So I just, take that tip right off there. But yeah, I saw some of yours just look like spoons from just years of, pounding it into the ground,
Yeah, I used, one thing though is the digging knife I've been using for probably 20 years, and it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a guy made it's just a long one piece, steel handle, and it goes into, and then you have it clamped with wood. And,
right.
I have I took a tennis racket leather grip and put it on it, so to add it. But that thing works fine. I've never had a ledge.
I've never had a decent other than one of the ones I made or turned into a digging tool. I bought I think I got a gator knife from Calico years ago when I bought a metal detector, and it's a great shape. I mean, some of the Garrett ones and stuff are shaped the same way. They have that indentation handle, where you hold the handle, the blade comes out away from your hand and back down. I guess it's for leverage or something like that. But the problem was on that Gator one, it was the tensile strength of the steel. I just bent the crap out of it, And I noticed that like Gravedigger Tools, they had one in there. Now that thing I want to get my hands on one of those. That looks like it's a stout knife there, or whatever you want, blade, trowel, whatever you want to call it. I'd like to have a blacksmith make me one. That'd be a nostalgic piece, what I mean? That you didn't matter how light or heavy or whatever it was, just something you would use, but it's real deal. Have that thing hammered out. That'd be kind of cool. Might make one of those. I have to buy a forge. I don't see if my wife will let me do it or not.
Yeah, I've seen people use those hand picks and stuff.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about digging, when you're chopping, is once you get down to a certain depth, it's hard to you can't really chop straight down,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to try to scrape. You almost have to turn the shovel inward, try to scrape all the dirt up and out.
Right.
And that's when you start hitting deep bullets, putting a big old gouge on them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the reasons I got that. Well, that was the main reason I got that pinpointer. I didn't really care about finding it. People used to go, well, you can get it out of the hole quicker, and I go, I'm not in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I'm hunting by myself. I don't really care, how long it takes.
Yeah.
Got all day.
See, I hunt with a long-handled shovel, and I always wanted to get with John or one of those guys, see if they'll make the head of the shovel, the blade of the shovel, but make it with the receiver that I could put a wood handle on, like from a regular long-handled shovel. I just like it's better for me, and I get good leverage. Make it a 5-inch wide blade, serrated down both sides, but don't make it a sharp point. Make it more like a sword point, like a not elongated point, like a real short, like you'd put on a Excalibur sword or something like that. You know what I mean about the angles, Craig? That way it doesn't, because you get those pointed shovels, you get down so deep, you're only getting like a quarter of the width of the blade, because it's not going to soil. You know what I mean? You get wider, almost like the flat relic hunting blades. You see some of them, they're real short shovels, but they're like 6 inches wide and flat all the way. There's no point to them. Only because when you get down deeper, you can scoop out more dirt and consistently. But
I've got a lot of shovels. The one I'm using in the yard is a 31-inch T-handled Predator.
Mm-hmm.
but it's only about 4 inches wide, maybe 8 inches long.
Yeah.
So, but it's good for like yards. If you're going to cut plugs, into somebody's yard, it does a pretty clean job of that. A lot of times you don't want to dig down 10, 12 inches in somebody's yard.
Yeah.
It's hard not to make a mess when you go too deep.
Yeah, I got one of those.
But,
one of those less 3-inch wide, and it's like I don't know. It's got the step, that the foot pad right behind the blade, and it's like it's almost too tall. The blade itself, I think it's 11 inches long or something right there. And it's great for like hard pack, like this. We get the shale, like driveways and stuff. If you had something down in there, you can hack right through it. But it's only about, I don't know, 30 inches handle, something like that, T-handle. This, Craig, I could pry up concrete blocks out of the ground. It has never been. I still got it. As a matter of fact, we were out horsing around. We have a tree stump out here, and we were using it, instead of throwing an axe at it, we were throwing a shovel at it. That thing would embed in there about 2 inches into the stump easily. It just, you had to be pretty good with it to do it. Not intended to be the use of a shovel, but, it was fun to do anyways. But, yeah, it's too narrow, though. You're not getting a big enough chunk of ground. You get those wider. Well, somebody's yard, you don't want to hack it all up anyways. But yeah. Oh, your headphones.
Yeah, I thought I heard something outside, but I guess I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I just took my headphones off to listen.
You see me getting paranoid about stuff cutting out. We used to have that problem all the time.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we were on needles half the time while we were doing the show, remember?
Yeah, Tim kind of brought back flashbacks last week. I was like, oh, my God. But that was all on his side. But, yeah, those Bluetooth headphone microphone, I don't know. Craig, that's the reason you didn't get them, is because they're wishy-washy kind of thing. They're good for doing other stuff with, but as far as phone calls, I don't know. He sounded better without it.
Well, I was worried about the microphone part, not the headphone. And when I was at Best Buy, the geeks told me, no, those Bluetooth are crap.
Yeah.
And don't waste your money. For what I wanted to do.
Right.
So, I'm also looking at another option where I can. There's this thing where you can hook it into the iPhone, and it's got a little box with two jacks on, one for the headphones and one for a microphone. So I'm thinking about getting that box and then they got this lavalier that clips onto your collar, I guess. And it's only about $20, I think, but supposedly it's really good. Everybody was recommending it.
Yeah.
I'm on all these podcast sites, and people are talking about different kinds of equipment and stuff, but a lot of people didn't. I've been asking the question about the microphones, and there's just not a whole lot of information. And then somebody the other day finally saw something where they were using a gaming headset, and they were using the same one I'm using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like on these camcorders, Craig. I mean, or whatever you want to call them, the GoPros. But you hear this over in England a lot when the guys are, you guys are out there detecting, the wind. Just, you can't hear them talk barely. Darren used to have that problem. And tell you what, these Rode mics, fantastic with the GoPro. I mean, when I was watching reviews, the guy's actually in a speedboat or a boat out in the water, and he's recording. And, you could hear the wind, but you could hear his voice, no problem at all. Without it, you couldn't hear a doggone thing. And, that's what I'm using tonight for the show, is I actually adapted it to fit onto here, onto the computer and everything, which is not a perfect match. But, when I shoot video with my GoPro, man, I love this thing. The wind does not affect it at all, it seems like. Well, it does, but it's very little compared to anything else. But they're not that expensive now either. I mean, I think, Craig, I actually saw these, and I think it's the same one I have. I paid about $100 for it a couple of years ago. I think they're $45 or $50 now. They're not. I mean, that's not a lot to spend on a microphone by any means. Not something of quality. They actually sell shotgun. It's RODE, Rode. They do sell other microphones, obviously too. They're pretty good quality, anyways. I haven't had any problem out of this one. So as far as recording outdoors, metal detecting or what have you, that's a good choice too.
I was looking on eBay, and oh my God, and Amazon, it's so many microphone products. It's unbelievable. You don't know what to get.
Yeah. No, like we did, Craig. You go in and you ask somebody that uses this stuff. That's what you did. I mean, that's what we do with metal detectors, whatever. What do you think of this metal detector? Why am I going to waste my time with a metal detector that 3 or 4 of my friends have and they hate it? I'm not going to even bother with I'm not going to say what name it was, but your buddy who said, those are, I have one of those detectors. You want to buy one? When your friend tells you that, it's a piece of junk. You don't want to buy it.
Yeah, well, when he said that, I said, "It's that bad, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah. Steve Adams is on here. He put up a post on the chat. There says, "I'm in the process of putting training wheels on my coils and a drone to push it around the yard or around the field while I sit in the truck under the AC looking at the camera, still trying to figure out how we're going to get the something to dig it out or something like that to get the target dug up." I like that one.
They actually have drones with metal detectors on them.
They do. God, we could sit in the truck and have a beer. I mean, a soda.
You know what they're used for?
No.
Finding mines. It's like over in Cambodia.
Yeah.
They got supposedly more mines in the ground. They got like millions of them, and there's no, they know, this area is just full of them, but they don't know where they are. And it's dangerous to sell, and they've had people out there, digging them up and stuff, And,
unfortunately, that's
it's very dangerous.
Oh,
but anyway, this drone can actually fly plots and scan back and forth and find and mark it on the GPS exactly where it is.
That is cool. So, save a lot of lives that way. A lot of kids. I mean, they're not the only country. I mean, some of these countries have, not only mines but unexploded ordnance and everything else. I watched a documentary on Vietnam, where they couldn't land on a certain landing strip with any kind of bombs on, so they would dump them out. They would drop them, on the way in on this certain area. And there's so many of them. I mean, people now. I mean, we're talking how many years later. They still have a problem with, kids losing arms and legs and everything else of these things, and farmers digging them up. I mean, it's a problem. Unfortunately, that problem sucks.
There's like millions of acres they can't use because all this stuff's in the ground, and it's
well, you start wondering sometimes. It can happen anywhere, really, because I know there was that one guy that found in the park in California and digs up and he noticed it was a grenade, and thank God he called a bomb squad and everything, because it was live and whatever. I don't know where it ever came from or why it was there. But yeah, it could have blown some kids, or anybody up, digging around out there. So you got to be kind of, it's hard to say that. I mean, be careful, but I mean, if there's, that's why I was always kind of wondered about doing like military kind of old military bases or abandoned military areas or something like that. Like they're doing it over there in Germany and stuff when they're trying to recover, people, lost, soldiers lost in the war or whatever. They come across everything, and I'm sure, they've said it before, you got to be careful because you don't know when you're going to come across an unexploded grenade or shells that are unstable. There's all these little things, you worry about, I guess, or you don't. I mean, you just got to be careful how you excavate the stuff up out of there. Because I've seen photos of, finding guns and ammunition, grenades, what have you. I guess that goes into the adventure of it. I just don't want to lose a foot or a hand because of it. So.
Well, it's funny. I watched this guy, Jake, that does River Treasure, and his YouTube channel is The Almighty, but he's the number one metal detecting as far as subscribers now. got like I think it's over 7 million or almost 8 million
Right.
subscribers. And his friend, I think Jordan, it's called Jigging with Jordan. He does this. They do metal detecting, and then they do a lot of just searching it, by eyeball on the bottom of the, rivers, lakes, and all over the world. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have this. They keep getting better and better equipment. That to make it easier for them to find this stuff down in there. When they're underwater, and a lot of it's like they get these super bright lights because they're down like 40 feet down, and it's just pitch black. Can't even see anything unless you have a really good light down there. And they're using Excaliburs, and it's pretty amazing the stuff that people drop in the water, and it's like an unhunted area. I mean, look how
Mm-hmm.
many, especially when you get down deep. Nobody's ever been down there. They're hunting areas that have never been hunted before. They get along all these. They started realizing that people were throwing, weapons off of bridges, to get rid of them, and so they started searching along the bridges, and especially in out of the way areas, and they started finding guns.
Mm-hmm.
When they do, they call the police and turn it over to the police, and a lot of times the police they'll find, sometimes they get the serial number right away, and they call it in, and then they find out, it was stolen, or it was, there's no information on it, or, but, they're always appreciating this. So they've actually started calling these guys to help them find stuff that's been lost in the water and crime scenes and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. But they'll be at they go to like these rivers. He lives in Georgia, and I can't remember what the name of the river is. It's a famous river, and people raft down this river all the time, especially in the summer. There's like 25,000 people.
Wow.
Rafting down this river, So they go under the water, and it's unbelievable. The iPhones and watches and sunglasses they find. It's incredible. I didn't even know they had $2,000 sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're called Costas or something, but they find all kinds of Ray-Bans and just strange stuff.
Yeah.
They find all these jewels that are vaporizers. What else? I guess they're like $200 a piece or something. They find Apple Watches all the time. They're still working.
Mm-hmm.
iPhones, Galaxies. It's unbelievable
Amazing.
how many phones they find. People just lose them all the time, and they always try to get them back. Try to find out who they own, who owns them, and get them back to the owners. And they tape that too. And it's really funny when these people realize that, oh my God, you actually found my phone. I thought it was gone forever.
Yeah.
Well,
Loy was saying he lost. I think they lost 2 phones out. Him and Mark or something like that lost 2 phones out on the boat or something like that. I think that's what Mark was telling me. I don't know. I hate.
He drowned. I think he drowned one.
Drowned one. Yeah, that's right. Drowned one or something. But yeah, I guess it happened. I find myself, with this cell phone drives me crazy. I long for the days that we had a rotary phone on the wall. You know what I mean? And I guess I'm showing my age a little bit because then I didn't have to worry about anybody. But there's a lot of safety things too that, having a cell phone with you too, you get, lost out there or whatever, or, something happens to you, at least you can make a phone call. I literally, the neighbor across the street from me, I was talking to him and he's all laid up right now. Craig, he was in a well, it's like a shed, but it's really tall. And he had the ladder, a straight ladder up in between the rafters. So it couldn't go side to side at all. And he said it was kind of too vertical, but I didn't really think about it. He went up in there to replace some kind of wiring or something that was up in the, around the joists up there or whatever it is, the rafters. And the bottom of the ladder kicked out. And when it did, though, he came straight down. The ladder caught on something near the floor, stopped like a foot and a half above the ground, and his knee hit so hard into the rung of an aluminum ladder, it looks like somebody took a ball peen hammer and hit the ladder. There is a dent that big in it. Ends up ripping his ligament below his kneecap, dislocating his kneecap and all this stuff. And here he is at it's an empty piece of property except for this big shed. And, he said, if it wasn't for my cell phone, I don't know what I'd do. I mean, how are you going to get out of that situation? That's what I think about. I keep it in mind. I try to keep mine in my truck. My truck's always within sight. But the newer technology, you can kind of put them in your back pocket and be okay. I haven't had that much problem with the detectors that I use.
I've got mine in my left front pocket.
Left front pocket, okay.
It's been in there for 6 or 7 years.
Well, you must have a button on yours, Craig, because I wear a T-shirt with a pocket. I'm forever putting my recorder in I have a smaller movie recorder, whatever, and I put it in my front pocket, and you go over to bend over to get something out of the hole, and the stupid thing falls into the hole. I'm like, oh, what the heck? But you must have a pocket, a flap on the pocket. That probably helped me out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, these cell phones don't seem to be messing with the detectors as much. I mean, I remember 10 years ago, man, it almost talked to you through your metal detector, at least with the whites. But they were talking about shovels. We were talking about shovels too. But I was looking on chat, kind of panning back through, and I think it was Bill had his for 6 years. Another guy had a Samson for 5 years. I've had that Lesh for, oh my God, Craig, since 2009, 2010, almost 10 years. And like I said, it's nowhere near. I've probably done more damage to that leaving it outside sometimes and letting it get rained on than ever in the ground. It's never tried to bend or nothing like that. But we're hard on shovels. I mean, I know every one of us, man. I'll break a shovel hand. I use wooden handle, but I mean, usually they last pretty good. But you start with that long handle on there, boy, I'll pop a plug. And if I hit a root the wrong way and I'm yanking, I'm a big guy, I'll crack the bottom of that shovel. I've bent, broken fiberglass ones before, the long-handled ones. But weight-wise, I don't want to have a steel handle that long. That's why I was thinking about the wooden ones. But, yeah, I mean, Craig uses entrenchment tools, and he swings like a samurai warrior. So, I was in his front yard detecting, and Pauline's, my wife, was right there, and she goes, "Don't tear up his yard." Don't. So I'm trying to be nice and make a nice little hole, and Craig goes, "Give me that," and he grabs it and whack, whack, and he's making this, entrench, right in his front yard. He goes, "I'm going to redo the front yard anyways." I'm like, "Oh my God, if I did it in somebody's front yard, they'd kill me."
Well, it's my yard. I got yellow plugs in the backyard right now.
Yep.
But it's just got really dry the week, and I couldn't stand it. I said, I'm going to dig anyway, but it'll all come back. I got.
You got to watch it though, Craig. You want to mess with your neighbors, Craig.
Days.
Oh yeah, but you want to mess with your neighbors, Craig. Just you dig all these targets and everything. Just leave little mounds of dirt everywhere. Every once in a while, plant a little rose bush. Your neighbors will start talking. You won't have any problem out of the neighborhood kids at all messing with your property. They'll think all the little bodies are buried out there. Just mess with them. A little bit of rude humor, I guess. Whatever. What do they call it? Disclaimer.
Yeah, I've had people, on the other block that I don't even know. I don't even know their names or anything. And I've met them like twice, and this one woman starts swinging her arm back and forth like this, and she goes, "We see you doing this." Yeah. I started laughing. I said, "Oh, you watching me, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
So she goes, "You ever funny Civil War stuff?" And I go, "Yeah, that's why I bought that yard."
Yep.
So she's going, "You actually bought that yard?" Like, I said, "Yeah, I wanted a place to hunt because I've been doing this for 30-some years." And, I figured, another lady I talked to the other day, and she goes, "Oh, Middletown's got stuff in every yard." And I go, "Well, some yards I haven't found much, but, but I said, it probably at one time it did."
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, just the property I'm on over here, the Tollbridge property is like that. I mean, I know there's stuff there. I have free reign to go anywhere on it. It's like, it's just been so miserably hot. I mean, I don't mind the heat, but and I've been down here long enough. But when you literally walk outside and stand for 4 minutes and already your shirt's starting to get, sweat through, that's just too hot. I mean, it just gets to that point. I was out there putting electric in, digging a trench for the electric to my my office and garage and stuff out there, and I changed t-shirts 2 or 3 times. Craig, Pauline goes, "Get that shirt off. You're getting overheated or whatever." I said, "I know. I got to get this stuff done." She brought me a t-shirt. I literally took my shirt off and wrung it out of just water. I'm like, "Oh my god." So I don't want to be standing out in the middle of a field when that happens or whatever. It's just kind of. It didn't matter how much you drank, you just sweat it right back out again. It finally cooled down a little bit today, but we had 3 days of rain too. But in between the rain today, I got the the wires all hooked up and the breaker box and all that junk. And now hopefully I'll be able to get out in my office and actually do a show from there, because I've been doing them from inside the house, and I don't. The acoustics kind of suck in here right now because we don't have a lot of stuff hanging on the walls and stuff like that. Where in my office I have it's all insulated and all that stuff. So hopefully the show will sound a little bit more clear. I think it does a pretty good job. I mean, you're going to have ambient. We're not.
Yeah.
We are what we are. We don't. I'm not shooting for a sound booth quality or nothing like that. I'm looking on here now. I got a lot of the guys on tonight. Bill Marsh and Brandon from New York, Michael Boyles. I saw Lloyd from Relics Radio on, and oh gosh, several other guys here. I'm kind of panning through, blowing up the chat tonight. Paul Forsay, Steve Adams is on, Peter Beaufoy. Gosh, a bunch of you guys on tonight. Thanks for being on tonight. Talking about talking about a whole lot of stuff, Craig, I guess, but really the show's more about what we wanted to see in metal detectors, in the hobby, improvements we can make. Or they can make, manufacturers or whatever, to make this stuff lighter, better, stronger, more powerful. They're on their good way. I mean, just awesome. The last, we'll say 10 years, Craig, the technology jumped, and the way, the stuff they're making, and how a good of quality, or, some of this stuff is, these shovels and the pinpointers, they're all getting more and more durable. Because I'll tell you what, in the U.S., we are hard on metal detectors. We're hard on shovels, everything. I've had them tell me that in Bulgaria when I brought machines over there, and to be fixed or whatever. And Med's telling me, "Oh my God, you guys throw these against a tree? Do you what?" I said, "No, man, we use them. That's why these little." He had headphones for the Blisstal, and they were the thin wire, like almost like an earbud wire.
Yeah.
Thickness. I'm like, these ain't gonna work. I mean, I say, man, I'm gonna rip these up the first day I throw it in the truck, because I'm gonna catch it on something. That's why I went out and bought a pair of Killer Bees. I mean, I haven't had any problem out of those. Or Sunray Golds. They have a nice heavy cord on them. If you're not going with wireless,
It's funny. A lot of those areas over there, they don't seem to have a lot of woods. It's all open.
Yeah.
Or mountainous. Kind of like foothills of the mountains and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's real rocky looking, kind of like up here. We don't have a lot of woods up here. It's like wide open fields, rock outcroppings everywhere in mountains.
Right. Well, it's just like the headphones. I told me good technology. I mean, those headphones, there was no lag. The wireless headphones we had, but I had. Well, I brought a pair. What, you had a pair? Bill Pendergrass, I brought up a pair for him, and both of you guys call it, they're broken. Well, what do you mean they're broken?
Yeah.
Then I broke mine, and it was just where the receiver was, where you plug the 3.5 millimeter plug to go to the machine. The transmitter box, the little transmitter box, so like a 1/4 inch thick and like a 1 inch square. And you just plug it right into where your plug is for your headphones, and that was the transmitter to transmit up to the headphone receiver. Well, you plug it in, and it would break right off the circuit board. I said, "This ain't going to cut it." It's it should be fine. I said, "No, you don't understand. I plug something in, I make sure it's plugged in, and everybody does. You push it in, and you make sure it's firmly in place. Well, just by doing that, it popped the solders right off the board, and I had it sit there and re-solder, and I finally put epoxy or electronic silicone around it, trying to bond it farther to the board. And I said, I can't sell these things. So I got like 6 boxes of them in the shop, Craig. I just probably give them away. I mean, if you're ginger with them, they're fine. They work fantastic. But, other than that, it just, the quality wasn't there, and I didn't want to sell them to nobody. Sounds bad. Well, I mean, it's being honest, though, Craig. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
I don't want to send junk to my friends and have my friends say, what the hell are you sending us junk for? So that's why I kept them. We'll give them away as prizes. Let you play with them for a while.
Because it would have been nice,
Oh, they worked great. They worked great. No lag, but it just, I don't know. People come up with stuff and engineers come up with stuff and it looks good on the table, but it don't work in real life. Deal with that all the time on stuff. But that's why, when they're making these machines lighter and stuff, make sure that they're strong. Make sure they don't have, they don't bend, the shafts don't, wiggle too much or something. The little things. I was even thinking about an arm cuff, Craig. We have the standard arm cuff that hits you on the forearm, right? And it Velcros over, and then you have your handle. I wonder if they could put a smaller arm cuff that would hit you right before the wrist that you could strap in right there. That way all the weight would essentially be on your arm, and you just use your hand to guide. It wouldn't be any weight on your wrist at all. I've thought about trying to make something like that. I mean, it wouldn't have to be like extremely heavy duty or nothing like that. I may try to do that just so it'd be like almost an extension of your arm instead of having to use your wrist so much. The weight would hang on that strap over above your wrist right there. I don't know if that would help or not. I'd have to look at that. I'm all about making stuff. If it doesn't work, I just throw it in the garbage can and start over again. So.
Well, it's like some people are trading the Equinox arm cuff for the CTX one.
Yeah. I heard you guys. Well, even with the Quest, the arm cuff I don't like. It's okay. I mean, it's just the way it's connected. I don't know how is the
Equinox one is kind of cheap. I see a lot of people, breaking them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's very thin and it's it kind of bends. But I wasn't too impressed with it. But I don't think it's going to be a problem with me. But I see other people complaining.
Right.
And but I
say Ohio says. Oh, good.
Well, I asked the guy that invented the Telenox, and I said something about make a better coil cover and a better arm cuff with it. So he said, "What's wrong with the? I don't like how it's hard to get that coil cover off. To get the dirt out. It was a pain."
Well, Craig, with and I don't know if this will work on it because I don't have yours. What I used to do with my whites, I had a coil cover on there. I would there's a way of taking a piece of fishing, like a 80-pound test, running it around the coil, and then putting the cover over it so you can pull on. You just have that little piece of fishing line right there. It's enough to loop and pull that edge out enough so you don't hurt your coil by trying to stick a screwdriver down in there or something like that. That may be a solution because a lot of people don't realize that when you're using a coil cover and you're on a beach or even hunting regular ground, those particles get down in there and they can start messing up your detector. I mean, if it's mineralized ground or something, it'll start really messing up your detector, making it false a lot. You pull that coil cover off, there's all kinds of dirt in there. But that's what I used to do on my whites machine. I had that piece of fishing line, and that would just give me enough to pull that coil out from it.
I remember this friend of mine, he was complaining that it didn't seem to be getting depth and everything, and I remember I said, man, that coil cover looks kind of dirty and stuff. Maybe you ought to check to see if there's any dirt in it. And so he pulls it off. It was enough to fill up a flower pot almost.
Yeah, that gets pretty bad if you're out there hunting a lot. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you don't realize how much is in there. It's all this dust. You're just scraping around. I used to do these construction sites all the time. I bet that's even worse. But you don't realize how much you're swinging across the ground back and forth and back and forth. I don't know how many reps you make an hour.
Right.
It's probably thousands.
Well, Ohio Relic Hunter has one on here. Take a half-inch of a wet clothespin. It works great for taking the coil covers. It makes sense. You don't want to use a metal screwdriver, guys. I've seen guys pry and pop right into the side of the coil. Yeah, but yeah, that, or another little,
or you break the coil cover itself.
Right. I had a guy that actually would he'd seal his coil cover on. I don't know if I like that idea, not silicone it on. Don't know if I really like that. I don't know if it ever gave him any problems, but silicone after a while, probably be a pain in the butt to get that coil off to redo it. I don't know. I've never tried it myself. But I've also had I can't remember what kind it was now. Some detector I had a coil cover, and I actually cut the coil cover purposely, and it snapped on, so I didn't have to worry about it. It just gave me a way of popping it off easier. But I don't know if I'd really do that on any of these new coils or not, or coil covers. One of the other things that comes to mind, Craig, if one of you guys owns a Beach Hunter ID from White's, and I had one. I used to use it on the beach all the time and everything. Pretty good machine. But the biggest problem is that the coils would float. And, you had to force the coil not only from side to side, but you had to hold it down into the water and it was just extra wear and tear on you. So I used to take a little sand-filled ankle weight. And I had an old pair I got at a yard sale or something like that. And they had like little sections, Craig, and I cut it right down where, so that it would still seal, cut off the other side, and I just zip tied it to the coil. And that was a little trick. That way it would hold it down into the water. I don't have that force, to having to hold it down and swing side to side. So if one of you guys has one of those machines and, that's a problem, that's a quick fix. I had some guys use a sock filled with sand or whatever, zip tie it to the top of the coil. I mean, it's not the most ideal fix. I think they do sell coil weights for those now. And matter of fact, I think it was Anderson, I want to say, made them for the Beach Hunter ID as a coil weight. Now the Excalibur, you don't have that problem, I don't believe. I don't think their coils float. That was a good idea they had. So.
Yeah, no.
Excuse me.
It's like the Stingray. I got Soro's Stingray. It's got a weighted coil. Mm-hmm. Coil's actually pretty heavy.
Well, I like the Bliss tool. I like the coil on there. And with the Whites, I always felt like I needed a coil, they called them coil stabilizers. I made mine out of a piece of plexiglass myself. I think Calico had them at one time. And they were pretty good about they screwed to your, right where the bolt went through to hold your coil on, the nylon bolt. It went through, you put that on there, run the coil through it, then through the coil bracket. And then the top of it had like I'm kind of going to call it a zip tie or whatever, held it into place on the lower shaft, and you could adjust it and put a screw through that piece of plexiglass, and it would keep your coil nice and level, and, it's the same angle that you wanted at all times. It was a good idea for my Whites because I had weird coils on there, and always, I don't know, maybe I did a lot of night hunting, and it seemed to help because you can't always see your coil very good, especially at night hunting on a beach or whatever. With the Bliss tool, I never had that problem. I mean, Craig, you didn't either. It's like just second nature. Bump it, and it always seemed to go into the right place. It was, just loose enough. Some of the machines you need it for, but then again, we found the coil ears, like on you've already had a problem on yours. Sometimes the molds aren't perfect, I guess, or it's just too thin. It's happened on a couple of different detectors, but
after I broke the ears on the Equinox, I was telling people, I said, I've had 47 machines. I've never broken an ear before on a machine.
Yeah,
and I said some of them, it looks like you have to take a hammer to knock them off.
Yeah.
Even the older Equinox, like Explorer, had a thicker ones, but these are the Equinox ones and the CTX. I started Googling it, and it was like all these tutorials on how to epoxy it back on, and like cut out another piece to put it on there to make it thicker, to reinforce it so it wouldn't happen again. I was thinking, I didn't know if I was, the warranty applied or not, but I thought they were going to just, repair it. That's almost what they, it was like a repair order, but they
And
actually replaced the whole coil, so that was pretty nice of them.
oh yeah,
It
yeah.
only
I
took
mean,
a little,
good customer
only took
service.
a little over, it was a little over a week,
Hmm.
but
Well, it's like Garrett. I
not too
mean,
bad.
Michael Boyles is talking about it, and Loy about Garrett's customer service. They have really good customer service too. I think it's all White's has always had. For me, I don't know about recently, but they've always been good in the past, and that's what it's all
Yeah,
about. Stuff breaks, you got to get it fixed, and and it does. In some cases there is manufacturing issues, and we had one with the bliss tool early on with a lower shaft. The where the bolt went through that whole assembly right there, the shaft would actually had an air bubble, and that happened during. It was almost like a plastic dowel, and inside that plastic dowel there was like an air bubble on mine. And it just fell off. I'm like, and I showed people how to pretty much put a wooden dowel in there and epoxy it, for now, and it worked out really good. And you just got to make sure you're straight when you put that thing together, because if you're off a quarter of an inch, a quarter of a turn on that dowel, putting the I'm gonna say lower shaft to the lower shaft, that connector on. If you're off a little bit, you put the detector together and the coil's sitting cattywampus. You can't fix it then, so you got to really make sure you do it right the first time. But you do have like I think it was the Macro Racer. Wasn't that the one I had, Craig, where I broke it the first day? The ear broke right off of it, and it was a
yep.
continual problem. The coil ears, and you could do this very easily because it happened to me, where you kind of lose your balance a little bit, or you're standing up, trying to dig a hole, and you put pressure on the edge of the coil instead of having either no pressure at all, having it off the ground. You stick it on the side, you could break a coil ear if they're not made right, or if they're a little bit weak. Keep that in mind. And I find myself,
with mine, I just set it on the ground, and
mm-hmm.
the coil was like bent more toward the front, and normally it's right straight up and down when I set it, but somehow it was a little bit bent forward, and just that much, just sitting it down, and it's not that heavy a machine.
Right. Oh, it doesn't take much.
You know?
Yeah, it seems pretty
But,
thin to me, but I don't know what kind of material
well,
you're using.
You can actually wiggle it back and forth. That's how thin it is.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if
I went back and looked at all the rest of even the one on the on the dais is kind of thinner, but it's the way it's on there, it doesn't put, you don't have a wire or anything in the way
mm-hmm.
To put on there. But
right.
From what I'm seeing, it's a big problem. That's probably the only problem that the Equinoxes have, and
It's always something.
Problems.
Yeah, it's always something on a metal detector, something in a design. Whatever, the machine may work great. It's just something little, and it's always going to be an annoyance on any machine you get. They all have a little weakness here or there, or something that wasn't quite designed quite right. It looks good, but on the Quest, it was the arm cuff. They had this arm cuff slid right over the end of the upper detector shaft, which was nice. It fit right on there, nice and neat and everything. Then they had this little bitty screw. I mean, this thing was probably maybe twice, we'll say 3 times thicker than like on the eyeglasses, where the little screws hold the part of the eyeglass together. Or behind your ear, the little whatever you call them. I'm having a hell of a night, but it was like 3 times the size of that. That's what the screw is that holds that arm cuff on. Well, first day, I'm looking at this. It took me forever to get it. I couldn't even get the thing in there because it's so small, and I got gorilla fingers. So what I did, took a self-tapping screw, put it right in there. Never had a problem with it since. That's what it should have had in to begin with, is an actual bolt that goes through the stupid thing, because, some of us, it's the kind of thing you drop on your floor and not be able to find. And it just annoyed me that bad the first. But that's the only thing I found structurally or whatever with the machine. I mean, I can't complain about nothing else about it. It does everything it's going to do, but it's always that one little thing you got to kind of rig up a little bit. I guess it'd be like with the bliss tool. A great machine, love it. The only thing I wish they would have done, and I think he was planning on doing it at some time, was make it an access so you can actually hook the battery up yourself, pull a battery out, put a battery in. I would have liked to see that because, man, I tell you what, the thing is a pain. For me, anyways, it was always a pain on some of them. Try to get that thing back together again. And they have a brick-sized battery, and there's probably like about the size of about, we'll say 3 to 4 inches long, an inch wide, and about a half an inch thick. That's what the 3-cell battery is like on her. And you got to plug it in and everything. But I mean, the battery's great. I've had the same, believe it or not, Craig, my battery in my V3 is still good. And it's been, it'll be 8 years that battery's been in. You know, you keep them upright and everything. I don't know about these new ones. I mean, the Quest, the Equinox. How long of a life are they saying you're going to get out of the batteries? Just curious, because they're rechargeable, right? At least the Equinox is.
I don't know. I think you got a warranty about 3 years for the machine.
Good.
So maybe 3 years. I don't know.
That's good, though. I mean, I'm glad they have a warranty on them because it does. Sometimes these.
Well, I don't know if it's on a battery or just the machine itself, but I've seen some British guys that were actually replacing the batteries themselves.
Oh, really? I don't know what it takes to do it. I've never taken a Quest apart. I just know if you took the handle itself is the base of the control box, but it does have a sealer that you can actually take the screen, actually the metal detector, because that's where the control box is. It's about the size of your cell phone, probably smaller. And you could actually take it off the handle if you ever want. I don't know why you'd want to, but that's where the coil cable goes into and everything. But I just thought it was neat. All that technology in that little bitty box. Just like the Deus. All that technology right in the coil.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really, to me, it's pretty cool.
Well, it's the first machines that, started going into the chips,
Yep.
And there's no going back now. I don't know, is Whites and Garrett going to come out with machines like that?
Yeah.
It's like the future machine. It's already here as far as the lightness and everything. I think. I mean, people just don't want heavy machines anymore.
No.
Once you swing a Deus or this Equinox, there's no going back. You go, man. I think a lot of these guys are switching over. I hear a lot of people are selling CTXs and going to the Equinox, and maybe some of it's because of the weight.
Yeah, I mean, CTX looks cool. I mean, it's a nice design. It's just, man, that thing just looks. I've never really used one for any length of time. It's just heavy. It's like the ATX, man. The ATX is wicked looking. I mean, it's good. It's a pulse induction detector. But man, I tell you, guys have told me this thing's ripping my arm off. It weighs, I want to say it weighs 6.5 pounds or something like that, wasn't it, Craig? Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's, he's like, it's dying. I got a bliss tool in there. He's showing me how to set it up on this ground. I said, hell yeah, bring it over here. He goes, thank God. Ours weighed 3.92 pounds, and with the 11-inch coil on it, which wasn't bad, really. It's like, I don't know, I think it's a half a pound heavier than an AT Pro or something like that. But it's just ergonomics, too, the way they're set up, the way they're balanced. It makes a lot of difference. But like, the GP, yeah. I don't even know. I've never really used a GPX 5000 or anything, but what I saw, some of these guys that were hunting out in Arizona with them, they had these external battery packs, this and that, and all these things that had to plug in there. I don't even know how much that machine weighs, but then again, you can always get the straps for them. Well, they called them swing things back, 10 years ago, and they may still make them. It's actually it hooks onto your belt on your left side, and then it hooks onto your belt behind you, on the back, on your back, and then it has a shoulder strap that comes over, and had a little bungee cord on there, and you hooked to your metal detector, and it had a special, it could clamp onto the detector shaft wherever you wanted it to and hook it on there. Or you could just do it like they do in Europe and just hook a bungee cord. That's what they use, but, let them hang. Those help out a lot.
Or you can just get an Equinox or a Deus.
There you go. There's always a workaround, but it's just better to go and buy a light machine.
I swung the heavy speed for years, and it wasn't that bad when I was young, but As you get older, you don't. The funniest thing I saw a few years ago was this guy. It was a group of guys, about 5 guys, and they went out almost every day, and they were just constantly getting permissions over in England and stuff, and they went out every day, and they were always, joking with each other, about who's going to find the best stuff. And so this one guy was hunting with the CTX, and his arm was killing him so bad that after about 5 hours, he couldn't hardly use his arm, and he was taking all this, painkillers and stuff, and this went on for like 5 months. He could hardly sleep at night, and the next morning he'd get right up and go out there and start swinging, and he'd just be bitching the whole time. And one day, one of his friends said, "Don't even open your trunk," and he handed him a Deus, and he said, "You're going to hunt with this all day." And the guy said, "No, I'm not. I don't know anything about it." He goes, "I've got a program for you. When it beeps, you dig it." And so the guy was out there all day, and he goes, "Wow," he goes, "Man, my arm still hurts, but not like it usually does at this point in the time." And so the guy says, "Well, keep using it." And so after, I think it was after 2 weeks, he sold the CTX and bought a Deus. And he said, within 3 months, his arm was back to normal, and he was still hunting all day long. So, it's just, that it's like that repetitive motion stuff. You get tendonitis. And
well, that's what I wanted to say too. You brought it up, Craig, is that, when I first started detecting, and I'm trying to remember what the heck, it's around 2000, I don't know, somewhere in there. And I had my MXT, the first thing I noticed, like the first, I don't know, month or 2, 3 months, my elbow was just killing me. And you have to understand, you're not used to swinging a detector, that you got to build up the muscles that you need to swing the detector with. It's just like anything else. If you're, I don't know, you're used to running, but you haven't cycled. You're using different muscles in your legs and stuff like that. But I was almost ripping up, like almost getting a tennis elbow from the motion and everything. And once you build up to it, now it's, I don't have that anymore. Now it's up on my shoulder. And that's probably just, repetitive too. Let's see here. Lois says that he has the GPX, and it's heavy, but it's very well balanced, and he can swing it all day. And he says he's 150 years old, so that means he has the experience with it. You're not that old, Loy. But, it's just, it's how you can make stuff. They have videos. Craig, I have stuff back, like you were talking about earlier with the, finding stuff that that you moved and everything. I got stuff, in banana box. We call them banana boxes and stuff. I was moving stuff around and everything. It's like Christmas Day. I go in there, wait a minute, I can't remember what I put in this box. Open it up. Oh, look, we got this, we got that. This is for metal detecting. Oh, look, I put a can of fines in there. What was I thinking when I put it in there? Where are they from? I can't remember. It was like Christmas Day. My wife was laughing at me. I got to go back out there too, because I loaded a bunch of stuff when we moved. I literally had 48 hours to get everything out of our old house. And, of course, you don't mark boxes. You're just throwing stuff in boxes, packing them as tight as possible, and getting them out of the house and putting them in storage. And so now it's time to unload them. So you grab in a box. It might be bedroom, might be kitchen, might be whatever. Well, I'm finding boxes of metal detecting stuff, whether it's old, lower detecting shafts, coils, coil covers. Same Craig's doing the same thing. He's got, coil covers for this machine, that machine. So yeah, we've been having Christmas time in August, I guess.
Yeah, I threw some of the stuff away. I actually threw some of the machines away I had when I moved, but they just, I wasn't ever going to use them again. Nobody else was going to buy them.
Yeah, you had to pay somebody to take them.
I don't, a couple of them didn't even work anymore, but I kept. I still have a Toltec that doesn't work, but I know it's something in the batteries, and I could probably send it down to that guy in Texas, Willis, I think his name is, and he could probably fix it. I'm sure he could, in fact. But why even bother? Because I'm not going to be using it. It's it was a great machine in its day, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, we had. Oh, I wanted to mention too. I can't get a hold of him on Facebook, or he's not answering me back for whatever reason. But I guess he ordered a bliss tool and stuff. Guys, I don't sell them anymore. I really have no affiliation at all with that company anymore here and there. But I did message. I don't know what's going on with Ahmed, Craig. I mean, it's just UK site's down, this and that and the other thing. I don't know what's going on, but I know he still has his website up. But as far as what he told me is he was dealing with you. So I did make the effort and email the guy and all that. So I guess just stay on him. Don't think he just said it was just a manufacturing thing they were running behind. So I wanted to throw that out there in case you don't look at Facebook very often. I know he listens to the show. So get in contact with me if you want to. But that's all I know. We always try to do whatever we can for y'all. I mean, that's why I got out of that, brand a little bit.
Yeah, the guy I was helping in Albania, he blew out his battery, and he's all upset about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's
well, I was gonna make a video, Craig, and I was gonna show people how to open the machine up, but then I signed a non-disclosure, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if we can. I'm trying to help people, but I just don't want to really do it myself anymore. But I guess I will. I mean, if you guys have a bliss tool that needs a battery, give me a call, message me, or something like that. At least I can walk you through it, or I'll make some kind of a deal where you'll understand how to do it yourselves. It's really not that hard to do. It's just you got to be careful when you're putting the machine back together. Again, you don't trip a safety or something like that, because a lot of the machines are out of warranty anyways right now. So don't feel like I saw a video. The guy said, my battery's done. I got to get it fixed. You can buy all the stuff online to do it. I think the batteries are running like $35 or something like that for the machine. So, but yeah, if you have other problems with it, just message me. I'll see if obviously I'm going to do it for you, but I just kind of want you guys to do it for yourselves. But if you can't get a hold of them, I mean, I don't know who else you're going to get a hold of to do it, because there's really nobody else other than maybe a couple guys that work for another company for a while, but I don't even know what they know as far as how to work on the machine. I went to Bulgaria to learn how to work on it, but if I can be helpful, I will be helpful about it. I'm just time-wise.
I guess you can send it back to him, can't you?
I guess you can. I mean, I don't see why not. I just don't know what the response time will be. And I'm not trying to say anything negative. I'm just saying I just don't know what the response time would be as far as them getting it back to you. But yeah, as far as I know, you can. So, and you can still order machines. I guess some people are getting it. Like the one guy I'm talking about is from Australia, and I have no idea what the shipping and stuff like that is to ship to Bulgaria, that kind of thing. That's something you're going to have to research yourself. I mean, it might be $100. I mean, but it's worth it to get it done and get it fixed and get it back to you, I think. And it's a fair price, I guess. I don't know. I used to charge, I think, about $100 to do it, but I would include shipping back to you. That's the way I did it anyway. But I'm not some big company that's looking to make a profit either. So, I wanted to put that out there. I just threw it in there. But if you have a bliss tool you want worked on, or need to know what's going on with it, you can always call me or message me, and I'll do whatever I can do to help you out with it. In other words, so I look around, Craig, and all I have is a lot of bliss tool stuff and other companies too. But I mean, it's like, that bliss tool really gets me. Good machine, quality machine, but just really a pain in the butt to do business with sometimes. But
I've talked to some other dealers that got companies, and a lot of them won't deal with anybody overseas, because of this.
Yeah.
Unless they have like a headquarters in the United States, which most of them do.
Right. Well, that's essentially what we were supposed to be, but you just never got the support that we needed. And it's just they do business a little bit different, maybe. I don't know. I mean, nothing personal, Craig. I just, shoot.
Oh, we got killed by the VAT tax and the, EU, they manipulate their currency all the time over there. So all of a sudden, it's costing more to, in euros, translated from euros to dollars, and it was just a.
It's all the surcharges too. That's what. Anytime you deal, I mean, every dealing I've had with international wire transfers and stuff, it's you get charged by your bank. It's like $45, and then the exchange rate is never in your favor. You always get jerked around like that somehow. And then you got, when you're shipping stuff back, it's got to go through U.S. Customs if you don't have the address right, if you don't have whatever right. And because it's electronics and they see what looks like as a C4 brick in there, which is not, it's a battery, but, they're built in. Sometimes I wouldn't have to pay anything. Other times it's like $250 to get my stuff out of customs to get it here. It is a very frustrating, and it's because I don't know. If I didn't know what I was really doing as far as that. A lot of people do international stuff all the time. They probably had a better way of doing it, but I was kind of undereducated as far as that goes. So sometimes we would get charged, Greg. Other times, I'll tell Greg, we got charged again, or we didn't get charged. He'd start laughing. He goes, what's the reason? I said, I have no idea. They apparently had to open boxes. If they opened up a box, it's $75. I'm like, really? That's the most expensive tape I ever heard of. So
the profit was probably going down that week, so let's open up all these, get their profit back up.
Yeah. It's a crapshoot. I'd prefer to do business in the U.S. myself. I mean, I'm not adverse to buying stuff from the U.K. and stuff. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know.
When
usually people
with Eastern Europe, well, Eastern Europe is totally different. They're the poorest countries, and
yeah,
most of them were Iron Curtain countries, part of the Soviet Union at one time. But I talked to some of these people, and they've taught me some of their history. It's like people in Albania and people in Bulgaria are like natural enemies, for centuries.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Years. They don't like each other, and I was seeing some of the texts. He was showing me all the texts back and forth, and I was like, God, guys are like children, almost.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but.
You just don't know what the ways are. I mean, I've traveled a lot, and there's always, if you don't understand how a country lives, then you definitely need to educate yourself before you go there a little bit. Anyways, I was kind of surprised about some of the way they do stuff over in Bulgaria. Not that it's bad or good; it's just different. And trying to make sure I don't insult somebody or don't. Because as an American, we do stuff differently here. I mean, I'm sure every country is like that, but it's, you don't, the last thing I want to do is offend somebody. I'm just, and I'm kind of a smart aleck sometimes, or, have a witty or whatever you want to call it, have a wise ass comment or something on there. I mean, some places you can't do that, because they're going to get yourself shot or beat up or something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we joke around a lot here, at least in the South we do. We're always joking around, making little comments. I know, like Bill, even up north, Ohio, I mean, he's always making, fun comments. Sometimes people take him seriously, and he's just joking with you, so that's the way I am too, but, joke around. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, every country's different, man. That went down to South America some, and, Bulgaria, been over, even, Canada was one of the nicest places I've ever been. Believe it or not, Craig. I used to go up to Toronto a lot, but when I went to Quebec City, that's a whole different ball game there. I don't know, up north of Montreal. I mean, it was just, not that they were rude. They just, I'm a dumb American is what it is.
They're French up there.
Well, yeah. What it turned out to be is I went to a diner on the way out of there. I was driving for a company, but I stopped there at the diner, and the waitress was American, and she'd moved up there, and I guess her boyfriend was from up there. She goes, "Oh no, they're not. Don't think they're rude. They're just French." And I had to laugh so hard. She was joking with me back and forth about it. She goes, "Yeah, they come off like that." I'm like, "Well, I usually get along with everybody pretty well." It was like when I was asking the directions, they didn't have to give me the time or day. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to get my map out because I hated GPS, but. Attitudes and latitudes, right? Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, we went up to, I think it was New Jersey. We stopped at this diner to eat, and the woman said, something about potatoes. And I just started laughing. I was like, what's a potato? Is that like a potato?
Yeah. You say potato, I say potato.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that Ahmed thought was so funny over there is, I guess that yes means no and no means yes, or the words, or the English words. I don't know, but they're the text there, the workers there, or whatever. And I'm always saying, yeah, it sounds good. Yes, yeah, or no, what? And they would laugh, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. For 10 days this went on. And I'm leaving. He goes, why they were laughing is because every time they would ask you something, you'd say yes, and it means no, and no means yes. I said, well, that will get you in a lot of trouble in the U.S. because you know what yes means yes and no means no here. So it was a big laugh there too. But
there's like a lot of like, you know, some words are like two words, and they're backwards in those countries.
Right.
Which, you know, completely backwards the way they pronounce it.
Right.
I don't know.
Way it comes out, yeah.
You know, and this guy in Albania he had to, in order to talk to me on chat, he had to translate his language into Russian and then use Russian English.
Oh, God.
To talk to me. And some of the words weren't coming out right. He was getting upset, you know. It was kind of funny, you know. We started, you know, I don't like doing chat that much, you know. In fact, the other day I wanted to get rid of Messenger on Facebook.
Yep.
I found out you really can't. You know, it's, you know, if you do, you lose Facebook. So, but anyway, I started doing like videos. Like he went, you know, he couldn't figure out the ground balance, you know. So I did a video of me ground balance the machine, you know, and I used thumbs up and thumbs down. You know? Oh, he was laughing his head off. You know, he goes, "Oh, now I understand." You know, and it was pretty funny. You know, I got to like the guy because we were chatting back and forth for hours, and he started sending me like right after the ground balance one. He sent me this video where he actually got on the side of a cliff, and he and a friend had dug holes at different depths, and they were sticking stuff in the holes, and he was standing at the top, swinging, you know, and showing how, you know, and I thought that was pretty funny. And he was showing me, look, I got this. He had like a aluminum pie plate that he got it like 3 or 4 feet down with the bliss tool. He had the 15-inch coil.
Yep.
But,
yeah, I had one. When we were getting on the language thing, I had a friend, he's from Mexico, and he's speaking Spanish. I said, speak English. And he started laughing. He goes, you learn Spanish. I said, I have enough problems with English. I butcher it bad enough. Do you really think you want me to butcher your language too? I'd be insulting everybody, I'm sure. I wouldn't even mean to. I'd be insulting the heck out of them. I'll probably get my butt kicked or whatever. I can butcher one language just fine, thank you very much. Oh, shoot. I have one of my friends. She, oh God, I think she spoke 9 different languages. I don't even know how she kept them all straight. I mean, there's not very many people that can speak that many languages. I don't think come in handy. I mean, she spoke French.
Some people have it.
Oh God.
Some people have an act for it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that some of the languages sound. I don't know. It's just not my wheelhouse.
It's like a lot of countries in Europe. They don't even speak their own language. They speak English. Oh. You know, it's amazing. Some of them speak better English than most people here.
Yeah, that's
funny.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know what Pauline always tells me, he goes, you know,
except the ones in Britain, they got some weird accents over there.
Pauline always tells me she's from the South. She speaks as slow as understands as slow as she speaks English. So, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. We talk kind of slow down here, but we think kind of slow about it too. But we always manage to get the right answer eventually. Oh, God. But I spent some time up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I was hauling out a Frontier refinery for about 6 months. And Pauline was up there too. I had her truck for her. And we were hauling stuff down into Denver and back. And I found out, you know, depending on what part of the country is, they don't have the same sense of humor as we have down here. and we would say something, I'm trying to think of an example. It really doesn't matter, but you say something and they would look at you so seriously. And we're talking some mountain men, kind of guys, and stuff like that. And it's a quirky kind of making a joke, in other words. And they just didn't have any sense of humor about it, or they didn't understand the joke until like a few minutes later. And then by the time I left there, they were doing it to everybody else around. And if I started they started understanding we're just joking with them. We have this snap come back with these comebacks real fast. So attitudes and latitudes,
Well, some of those areas are so rural, your neighbor's like 30 miles away.
Yeah, country, man. Country. Yep.
Yeah.
But I get down in the southern, down in, California, Arizona, you get near the border. I used to go to Nogales all the time in Arizona or El Centro, California, I think it was. And the Spanish, you have to learn a certain amount of it because so many people speak it, so you start understanding. I guess you hear it so much you start understanding it a little bit, but I never felt comfortable enough speaking it. So, I'll shoot. But at any rate, guys, gosh, Craig, it's almost 10 o'clock, brother. I had no idea.
Yeah, time flies.
Time flies when we're running our lips, right? So
not quite as fast as their 30-minute one in the morning.
Oh, I'm telling you.
But
that's getting tougher and tougher to do, man. We, Craig and I get to talking, and it's like I look down there, like, 28 minutes, 29 minutes. Like, I got to get off here. And then we end up still talking for another 10 minutes anyway. It doesn't matter.
Say, all right, because stop talking, and then we talk for another few minutes. And stop talking, another few minutes, and then finally we stop.
I'm just going to hang up. Hang up. That's it. Done.
We're just not used to that. We're just not used to that yet.
Yeah, time restraints and all that. But guys, I'm probably going to wrap it up for tonight. Shoot, get out there and hunt if you can, man. Hunt for us. I haven't been able to get out. This afternoon was the first time it stopped raining for a while in 3 or 4 days. It just humid, nasty, rainy. I don't know. It's like dog days of summer already.
I got 40 mosquito bites in a half an hour the other day, and I dug one target, and I just said, that's it. I'm
really?
In the house.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I've never had I'm blessed. I have a property where mosquitoes don't like it. We're not even, we'll say 100, let's say about 200 yards from the river, or at least the canal that goes to the river. I rarely ever get bit by a mosquito here. But houseflies and stuff like that, oh my God, we get swarm with them. Sometimes gnats, no-see-ums. But mosquitoes leave us alone over here. I don't know. I guess we're just lucky. You get on the other side of the river now in Nobleton, that's in Hernando County, you'll get taken away. And they'll haul you off. So.
Yeah, the worst time is like in the afternoon when the sun starts getting a little lower.
Yeah.
Like direct sun, you don't, and in the morning when it's cool, I don't have any problem. But when it's kind of hot and you got the not as much direct sunlight on the ground, man, those things are just swarming off the ground. I could just see them lifting off. I was like, oh my God. For some reason, I like my right arm better than my left arm. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like I had 30 bites on my right arm and like 10 on my left arm. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I was pulling that circuit breaker apart outside the old one. We had an outdoor circuit breaker, went to our old trailer and everything. And Craig, I was just going to pull the wires out of it, and because it's not connected right now, get that pole out of the ground and all that stuff to, fix the rest of the little patio there. I reached down there and unscrew. I got to open up the door, no problem. Unscrewed the plate, to pull the plate off so you could see the breakers and stuff. There's a big old wasp nest in there, man. They come pouring out of there, the guinea wasp. Those things bite you just because they just don't like the way you look or something. I didn't get bit at all, but I pulled a heck of my muscle on my side to the point where I really couldn't do a lot the rest of the day, just trying to get away from them. I'm a big guy to be hauling butt, but I can get out of my own way once in a while. I told Pauline, I said, the wasp down here, all kinds of different ones. They have one that's it looks like it's about 2 inches long, Craig. This thing has a stinger on it, and it's like a mud wasp or something. It's not a mud dauber. We have those down here too. But I got a couple of pictures. I got to remember if I kept them or not. An ant It looks like a red velvet ant down here in Florida. You only see them by themselves most of the time. They're about an inch long, and I don't know, I guess the bite of them, it's a painful bite. And I saw one of those, I got a photo of it. It makes a fire ant look like a little peewee thing. I don't know, these things will eat you up. It's bigger than the carpenter ants and stuff like that. But yeah, weird insects coming around out.
Well, I got a picture of it, but I was coming in my yard, and I opened the gate, and my porch is real close, to the street there, and I saw this leaf. It was just hovering in the air. I was like, "What the heck?" And then it started moving, and it went over and it attached itself to the railing. And I went over and looked, and all of a sudden I noticed it's a moth or a butterfly.
Oh, really?
And,
yeah.
And it turned one way, and it had red wings, but then it turned the bottom part over the top, and it looked just like a leaf. If you go on, I think I might have it on the Facebook page, but I also have it on the hardcore Instagram and my Instagram page. But it looked exactly. It was like brown. It was irregular. Like it didn't look symmetric at all.
Yeah.
When it turned its wing that was a certain way, but if you didn't see it, you would have seen it on there, and you just thought it was a leaf. It's unbelievable camouflage.
We got these jumping spiders down here now. These little, they're small jumping spiders, but they have a fluorescent green dot on them. Literally, it's like a fluorescent green. I've seen a scorpion already this year that it's a fluorescent orange, bluish orange looking color. I've always heard, the brown scorpions, they hurt, but I heard them colored ones, man. I tell you what, they'll kill you. I don't know if that's true or not. I have to look them up, but I've been seeing some really strange looking scorpions and stuff like that out on that new property and stuff. I don't know. Usually you don't see a lot of that. I mean, I've never seen a lot of scorpions down here, but they are down here. And I think I told people that the spider I was seeing was a brown recluse, and it wasn't. It's actually a hunter spider. And these things have legs. If you hold your hand up on the wall, that's how big the leg span is. And they're probably, the one I saw had legs about probably a thickness of a pencil, Craig. And that's pretty intimidating. I don't know. Those things will hunt you. That's where there is a reason why they call them hunter spiders. They'll stand their ground. They think they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I got a shoe that says otherwise, but they'll dodge it. I've thrown stuff at them and they move out of the way. That's scary.
Sounds like one of those things that's alien things that planted on those people's faces.
Yeah. Well, these things, I mean, I'm not afraid of spiders. I just don't like spiders. I never have. I always thought the best spider was a dead spider. But I know they have their purpose and everything. There's a lot of them that won't hurt you. Some of these, my friends, I guess when I was younger, one of my friends had a tarantula, and I don't know. And then I went through Arizona. They had some kind of migration of these tarantula spiders. And, shoot, I was glad my wife wasn't there. She's scared to death of spiders, man. She'll bust through a door trying to get away from one. But we were driving through there, and it was some kind of migration route for this spider, and they were running across the highway. And he couldn't figure out what was going on. You just hear this crackling, and it was all those tarantulas. We were running them over, didn't even know it. That was some nasty stuff. Talk about getting to the next truck stop and getting your whole truck washed underneath. That was crazy. About like love bugs are down here in Florida, but under the undercarriage of your truck, you can imagine how good that smelled. You don't want smell-o-vision on that. Theater of the mind, Craig. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget we have our shows on Mondays and Friday mornings. That 7 a.m. is this Coffee with Derek and Craig. Short shows, but, a lot of our guys, I think, Bill Marsh tuned in, and Gavin McGregor and Peter Beaufoy and a few others. Mike D. or Bob D. Sorry, Bob D. tuned in last show. We have a lot of fun with him. You guys, if you want to hear about a topic, a certain kind of topic or whatever, just shoot us a message or something like that. I'm glad to do a show about it. A lot of times Craig and I can just pretty much, talk about just about anything. And if we don't know about it, we'll look it up and start making some opinions ourselves. That's what it's all about. Spreading information around. So, but Craig, I don't know if you're going to get out tomorrow or not. I know I'm not. It's raining right now. I can hear it out there tapping on the roof. But we'll see.
We're into humidity, and it was like we were getting some nice days last week, but this week it's gotten humid and more rain. But we actually needed some rain to loosen up the ground. But we're getting toward fall. It's only a few weeks, about a month away or so, a little over a month.
It must be nice. I don't hit fall weather until October.
Summer seems to go by so fast, and the winter seems to drag.
Yeah.
God.
Well, I like it the other way around. I like when summer goes fast, that's for sure. But, getting October, it starts cooling down a little bit. So it'll be here before too long. Heck, we're already halfway through through August. I don't even know where the year went, Craig. Really don't. It runs so fast and so hard lately. I don't know which ends up. But we're going to jump off here, guys. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and follow the show. Check us out on Patreon. Now we got a page up there, Hardcore Metal Detecting, and looking for supporters and stuff, and wanting to get started with some of the goals there and everything. So check us out and see what you think. Be sure to tell a friend about the show and the other shows on, like Relics Radio and Beyond Sight and Sound and stuff. A lot of us don't really advertise anywhere except for Facebook and stuff. So, tell your friends about it. Get them a like and a follow. We do appreciate it. So you guys get out there, keep digging, and God bless.